Want to know the 3 things to focus on to help you become a better leader? In this video, I will discuss 3 areas you can focus on to help you succeed and become a better leader. Hello, my name is Christopher Houston, and in this video, I want to discuss how to become a better leader. I consider myself a continual learner. This week, I will be attending the final week of a senior leadership program taught by American University. In this 5-week program, we learned techniques on how to become better leaders. We focused on becoming better leaders in government. However, the principles work in any area, including your personal life. What I want to talk to you about in this video are the 3 things to focus on. These 3 things help tie all the concepts we've learned together. The first thing is management paradoxes. The second thing is authentic leadership. And the third thing is understanding VABES. First is management paradoxes. First, let's define paradox. A paradox is defined as a seemingly absurd or self-contradictory statement or proposition that when investigated or explained may prove to be well-founded or true. Meaning it's like an oxymoron. It sounds like it might not be true, but it is. So let's start with the first one. The first one is you're responsible for what others do. Yeah, it's hard to be the person responsible when others are doing the work, but it's the true mark of a great leader. To focus on the work, you must focus on the people doing the work. While getting the work accomplished, remember, always have time to stop and ask the individuals how they're doing. You must both develop your people and evaluate them. A great way to develop your people and evaluate them at the same time is to use what we call an individual development plan. Now, that's nothing more than sitting down with the individual at the beginning of the year and saying, what do you plan on getting accomplished for yourself, your personal goals, your personal development plan? And when you talk to them about that, you kind of agree on, hey, well, if you're going to work on this, for instance, this course that I'm in, this is part of my individual development plan. And it started in January and it ends this month. So this is part of my individual development plan, and I will complete that at the end of next week. You must make your group a cohesive team without losing sight of the individuals on it. That's difficult because you must keep the big picture in mind, but you also must make sure you keep the individuals in mind. To manage your team, you must manage the larger context beyond your group. Next is you must focus on today and tomorrow. So how do you do that? It just means have clear and concise goals and timelines. That way you know you have some things that you're going to do today and some things that you have to get done by the end of the year. Focus on both today and tomorrow. Lastly, you must execute and innovate. This is very difficult because by nature, innovation causes you to not execute as well. Innovation causes you to make mistakes, and then you work through those mistakes. So staying creative while executing is another indicator of a great leader. Next, let's talk about authentic leadership. A few years ago, I read a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. It was a great book. Some of the traits from that book are needed to become an authentic leader. Now, I didn't know it when we started taking the course, but as we started moving through the course and started talking about authentic leadership, I noticed that a lot of the things that I read in that book were part of this course, or were talked about. Some of the traits were talked about in this course. So let's start with the first one. Give honest and sincere appreciation. That just means have an attitude of gratitude. Become genuinely interested in other people. I know you've heard when talking to someone, try to find something in common to talk about. I also try to find something interesting about the person I'm talking to and have them tell me about that. For instance, a friend of mine loves to scuba dive. And I like talking to him about that because I'm actually interested in it. I don't want to do it, but some of the stuff he tells me about is very interesting. Be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. Next is show respect for the other person's opinions. Never say you're wrong. If I disagree, I usually just tell a person, you know what? That's fascinating. if you are wrong, admit it quickly. Don't get caught up in saying, I was wrong, but, or yeah, I know I didn't do that correctly, but. Don't do that. Just if you're wrong, just admit it and move forward. Ask questions before giving direct orders. Over the past 4 years, I have had several teams and different projects. During that time, I've implemented several processes that replaced old, antiquated processes. In all the instances, I started with asking the question, tell me how the process works today. And another question I would always ask is, how can we make this process better? So I do that because I want the individuals that I'm leading to know that I'm interested in what they think. Now, sometimes we have to get things completed, but I want to ask those questions so that they know that, yes, we have a goal. We have goals that we need to get accomplished, but I want you to be part of the solution. Lastly is understanding VABES. And we learned, this was my first time hearing about this term when I got into this course, this type of course. So let's go through the VABES and some of the questions we're going to answer. There's 3 questions that we're going to answer as we're going through these VABES. The first one is, what VABES did you acquire from your upbringing? Now for me, the first one is discipline. I learned how to be disciplined. The second is hard work works. Next is be fiscally prudent. You have to take care of your finances. Sometimes I tell people, I know a long time ago, I had a person that was in finance. We were talking about being fiscally prudent with your personal finances. And he worked in the finance department. And I made the comment, listen, if you have a bad credit score, I don't think you should be working in finance. Now, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But the bottom line is we all should be fiscally prudent. My job as a parent is to provide options. My goal is to provide as many options as I can to my children. I want them to have more options than I had. Create goals and work toward those goals. That's another one of my VABES. And lastly, my dad would always say, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Next question is, which, if any, have you consistently worked to change? So of those VABES, which ones do I, even the ones I didn't list, which ones have I consistently worked on to change? The first one is my eating habits. Of course, I eat totally different now than I did when I was growing up. Nutrition is a key in my life now. Working out. I try to work out every day. And lastly is empathy. Empathy is one of those things that I continuously have to work on. Because you see, I grew up with a lot of discipline and understanding that you had to have discipline. So individuals that don't have discipline or don't have self-discipline, it's one of those things where I have a hard time having empathy for those individuals, but I'm working on it. The last question that I want to talk about is, what new VABES have you adopted since you left your childhood home? Well, the first thing for me is I became a lifelong learner. To me, there's no end to learning. Quick story, this week I learned about I work in Excel a lot for a lot of reports that I have to either generate or analyze. And one of my teammates, she showed me this new technique inside of Excel called Power Query, how to query different spreadsheets at one time and to put them all into one data set and then do reports off of that. Now, it was pretty cool because I had never really worked with Power Query before. And I ended up spending about an hour and a half, 2 hours with her showing me this new technique. So once again, that's just part of me being a continual learner. Another thing that I've adopted is work relationships. My time in the military, my first 10, 12, 15 years in the military, I didn't really develop a lot of work relationships. I had a lot of friends in the military, but they didn't really work with me. So when I got out of the military, I understood that work relationships are key. As a matter of fact, the team that I'm working with in this course, one of the things that we continually say is these relationships that we've built over these 5 weeks, and understand we've worked, the course was 2 weeks on, and then we left and came back to where we work, and then 2 months would pass, and then we go back to the course for 2 weeks, and this coming up week is our last week. So we've been apart and then together, apart and then together. And in that time, we've built these relationships. And everyone says that that's one of the best things about this course. Lastly is looking for my purpose. I'm pretty sure I've found my purpose, which is teaching. I'm teaching a course in project management this week, as a matter of fact, this term at the Vario University. So I'm teaching this project management course. And what I like about teaching, and the reason I say that that's one of my purposes, or I think that's my purpose, to gain information and then teach that information to someone else. The reason I say that is because the feeling I get when I'm teaching someone something and you can see that light come on and you can see them say, oh, I get it now. That's really what I like about teaching. So in this video, we have discussed management paradoxes, authentic leadership, and understanding VABES and how you must use them. I hope you found value in this video. If you did, please subscribe, like, and leave comments. Also, if you think someone you know can benefit from this information, please send a link to that person. I post a video every Saturday. My name is Christopher Houston. Thank you very much. Good night and God bless.